Hi, I'm Hafa, and you're watching the Cosmoconscious Academy channel. So today's topic is, am I interacting with other dimensions? Have you ever had the feeling that you were interacting with another dimension, or maybe that you noticed something that you couldn't quite explain? Maybe you saw something, maybe you heard something, maybe you felt some kind of energy and you didn't know where it came from? This is something very common that happens to a lot of people during their lifetime, so you shouldn't worry about that. But I suggest that you start understanding what happens when it happens. So if you're wondering if you've already interacted with other dimensions, if you're currently interacting with another dimension right now, I'd like to tell you that the answer is yes. More than maybe you could ever imagine. And I'll tell you why in this video, so keep watching. So I believe that at this point, if you're watching my channel, if you're watching this video, I think you believe in multidimensionality. Maybe you believe that life goes on, that there's something else other than just this life. And this is gonna help a lot, like as a basis. So we can agree that we ignore a lot that's happening right now, that everything that exists is obviously not what we see with our human eyes. We see just a fraction of what reality is, right? If you believe that life goes on, that there are other dimensions, that you're not this physical body, we can obviously agree that we ignore a lot that's going on right now. So we can say that other dimensions do exist. So when you noticed something that you couldn't quite explain, you were probably noticing something that was going on that was coming from a dimension that is more ethereal than this one. But somehow you felt the connection and you absorbed the information, or at least part of it, that was coming from this place. And I say this place, but it's just like from a source. It could be someone, like a consciousness or some kind of energy that was manifesting itself in a vibration, in a dimension that manifests in a vibration different from ours. And it's usually, it comes from more ethereal vibrations, more ethereal dimensions. And then you ask me, how the heck did I notice something that was coming from someplace else? How does it happen? Well, I think the best way to explain how this happens is because we gotta remember that we have other bodies. We are consciousnesses, right? And we are consciousnesses manifesting. Like I am a consciousness manifesting myself through different bodies. We do not have only this physical body. When we're here, when we're incarnated, we tend to focus more, we tend to focus a lot on this. A lot of people believe that they're this physical body, but if you're here, you probably believe that you're not this physical body. You're using this body, this amazing body, to manifest yourself, to manifest your consciousness in this dimension. But you don't only have this body, you have others. Maybe if you had an astral projection, you probably noticed that you were using a body to interact. So we can say that we have this physical body and we have an astral body that is like our ghost, that we have most of our astral projections using this body, and it's usually the body that we see when we see a ghost, or when we don't have to call it a ghost, right? It's a consciousness, it's a person that is manifesting themselves in other dimensions, in more ethereal dimensions. Like if you saw somebody that is not currently incarnated here. So we have the physical body and you have your ghost, your astral body, and in between these two bodies making the connection, and there's a lot of exchange of energy going on between these two bodies. You have the energy body that makes the connection while you're living this experience here as a human being on planet Earth. So you have the physical body, the energy body, and the astral body. And I don't know if you've heard about the mental body. That is a body that is less dense than the previous ones, because like from here to there it tends to get more dense, it tends to get denser, like the vibration is different, so it manifests in different dimensions. So the mental body, people usually say that it's a sphere of light. It manifests itself as a sphere of light. But I've also heard of some experiences of other people, and I've also had a few experiences that I believe I had these experiences using the mental body, and it didn't actually have an appearance of a sphere of light. I believe it can manifest itself as a sphere of light, but it can also manifest itself as a human being, as an object. I don't know. I think a consciousness that is lucid, that is aware, and is manifesting itself with the mental body has the capability, has the ability to manifest itself as it feels like, however it feels like manifesting itself. I think it makes sense. But anyways, you were able to get an overview of our bodies, but I always like to remember, I always like to say that this is not everything. This is just the beginning. We're just getting started learning. We have so much more to learn about how consciousness can manifest, right? There are so many possibilities. We're just focused here on this experience as human beings. I really believe there is life on other planets, and there are many more options. But it's a start. Let's value it, but let's keep our minds open. That's what I'd like to say. It's important to keep our minds open, to keep learning. So, considering that we have all these bodies manifesting themselves at the same time, we can agree that we're currently manifesting ourselves on more ethereal dimensions than this one right now. The thing is, most of us, most of the times we're not aware that this is happening, but it's not because we're not aware of it that it's not happening, you know? And what does it have to do with interaction? I believe that if we're somewhere, we're interacting, whether we like it or not, because it's all connected, you know? It's impossible to be out of the universe, out. Like if you're somewhere, you're there and you're interacting, because exchange of energy, of information happens all the time. So how would an interaction occur? Sometimes some people have conscious, lucid interactions with beings or with energies that are currently manifesting themselves in these other dimensions, and that's what I believe happened to you when you had one of your experiences that you probably found this video looking for answers. But it's not what happens most of the times, you know? Most of the times we are interacting unconsciously. But that doesn't mean we're not interacting, because I'll give you some examples. I believe we all have spiritual guides that help us a lot during this experience here in this dimension. So whether you believe it or not, at least I believe that we interact with our spiritual guides like all the time, or at least many times. And how does it happen if you're not aware of it? If you're aware of it, that's great. And I'd like to say that it's possible to do it in a more aware way. But how does it happen unconsciously? They usually give us tips, they usually give us some advice on many aspects of our lives. And so the information from our spiritual guides can come many times as an idea that most of the times you believe that you had this idea yourself, but the more you develop your abilities, the more you study, the more you're in touch with the subject, you tend to notice it more easily when an idea comes from an outer source, from someplace else, from some other consciousness that is not you. And you also tend to know whether it's a good thing or not by the energy you feel. So it can come as an idea, or it could also come as a dream. You have a dream and then you wake up in the morning with a new idea, or maybe you don't consciously remember it, but it stays there. Maybe we're not wise enough to follow the advice. That's something that happens as well. But the more you tend to study, to feel like being a better person, you tend to get all that information more easily, and you tend to get their advice and put them into practice if you really know that it's coming from a spiritual guide, because it's interesting when we follow advice that comes from our spiritual guides. But we gotta know that, like, whether it's coming from our spiritual guides or not. But when you really know that, when you're really sure, and you kind of develop the ability to notice, to perceive it in a better way, it's really helpful because they have a broader view of everything that's going on, because they're not here. But they can see everything that we're going through and all that, so it helps a lot. Like, really. And it can also, these interactions, they can happen like from between you and your guides, but it can also happen between you and a consciousness that is not pretty aware, that is not like with the best intentions. Or you could have interactions with energies that are good, like with healthy energies, and with energies that are like not the best. It happens, right? It's all happening right now. So I'll give you some tips on how to have healthy interactions. So I really believe that what dictates what kind of interaction with other dimensions or with other beings that are currently manifesting themselves in other dimensions is actually our current manifestation. So we actually can control the kind of interaction that we have. We just gotta train ourselves and be aware of how we're manifesting all the time. Of course, we're not able to do it like 24/7, at least. I've never heard of someone who could control their manifestation like all the time. But I really, yeah, because we have like unconscious actions, but we can also focus on being aware of how we're manifesting, and also always try to improve, always have the intention to notice what we can improve. If you really feel like doing it, if you're really making an effort to be a better person, like every day, if you're looking for information, if you're always learning and putting what you're learning into practice, this is going to help you a lot. And if you compare like yourself from the day you started to put these things into practice, and maybe a month later, a year later, you'll definitely see a big difference. And that's gonna change the whole picture, because the type of interactions that you're gonna have is gonna totally change as well. Because as I said, it's like your current manifestation that dictates the sort of energy, the kind of interaction that you're going to have. Yeah, it's your energies, it's your manifestation that's gonna find similar situations, similar consciousnesses, similar consciousnesses that vibrates in the same level as you're vibrating. So that's basically it. So always ask yourself, what am I sending out to the universe, to this environment, to this dimension, and to the other dimensions that I'm also manifesting myself in? What might I be getting back? How do I feel right now? Is it coming from my soul, my consciousness, or could it be coming from an outer source? Is it a good source? Is it... I don't like to talk about things saying that they're good or bad, because I think like we go through a lot of things during our evolution cycles, you know. So we can't say that something is bad. Maybe we could say that something is healthier than the other one is, I don't know, but you got it, right? Is it coming from a positive source or a negative source? Maybe is it ethical? Is it not ethical? Does it feel good? Does it feel like in a low vibration? Try to always ask yourself what's reaching you. Is it coming from myself? Is it coming from someplace else? Is it coming from somebody else? So what kind of connections am I consciously or unconsciously making? How's my mind like today? How's my mood? How did I end up like this today? Asking yourself these questions help a lot, because you will get to know yourself better and you will expand the way you see and interact with the cosmos, with the universe, with this dimension and other dimensions as well. Like little by little, day by day, you'll become a more aware being. And that's great, right? Yeah, and paying attention to your mind, to your emotions helps a lot, because that's, in my opinion, that's the source of how our energies manifest as well. And it's good to remember that I'm focusing a lot here on interactions, on thinking about what's reaching you. But it's important to think that we also affect other people that are around us. We're sending out energies all the time as well. So think about that. Like if you care about people around you, if you care about people that you don't even know, but we're all important, like all lives matter, right? Whether they're alive or dead, their consciousnesses. So how are you affecting your environment, the physical environment, the astral environment around you, maybe the environment that you manifest yourself in during an astral projection? How are you affecting the world, the cosmos, the planet? It's always good to reflect, to think about that. Self-responsibility is the key to making changes in our lives and where we live in. So these things that I've just said are, I think they really matter. They're really relevant in my opinion, because I've learned a lot by putting these things into practice, and I'm still learning too. But they're like first very important steps. But if you would like to know more about being multidimensionally aware, maybe about how to manipulate energy, and about astral projection, how to astral project, things like that, and other topics that are related to these subjects, let me know in the comment section down below. If you have questions, if you have suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And if you liked the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss anything. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It's Cosmoconscious Academy, just as it is here on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.